Mr. Jefferson, co-founder of Afrletics. I'm from New Orleans. I reside in Atlanta. I also have a store in the Atlanta neighborhood called Sanctuary, which is a brand that represents Black history, but it merges it into a sports apparel and sports team motif, where we would take different historical icons such as a Harriet Tubman or ancient Egyptian Mayat or Marcus Garvey and create a sports logo and sports team apparel like basketball shorts, t-shirts, hockey jerseys, authentic sports apparel to celebrate our history. Along with the athletics brand, I have a brand called Brownery Studios, which is an embroidery brand that I embroider different type of positive messages on hats, as well as t-shirts and hoodies. And that brand is also used to customize and help other brands develop apparel or merch that they want to sell. And I have a third brand called Tribal Marx. This I refer to as a indigenous banana republic or gap, where it's simple tones, not that many colors, but still represents our indigenousness and heritage and global citizenship. So initially, my sister was drawing or designing clothes at probably like 12 years old, and I was 5. She was just drawing stuff and designing stuff, and I would look at her drawings and kind of be inspired and be like, that's cool, that's dope. But I didn't start drawing necessarily, but I do remember her doing that in a young age, and that was part of the start of me being inspired to want to do something like that. And then I can remember probably about 6th grade, 11 years old, noticing the popular guys in elementary school are the ones who, you know, I guess popular would be the word, you know, they would wear polo, they would have Genera, you know, stuff like that. And then that's when I kind of started to notice fashion. At that particular point, I couldn't afford it. My mom couldn't afford the polos and the Genera, but we were able to get secondhand items from our cousins. Some polos, they might have a hole under the arm, they might be a little distressed at the bottom, but just the fact that we had that polo, it was cool. So just from that point, that was probably my point of really observing fashion and noticing some of the more prominent people in the neighborhood who probably sold drugs. You know, they'll have the leather caps on, the different ballet shoes, polo, and different things like that. So just that being the inspiration, the big gold chains with the Mercedes-Benz logo or the Cadillac logo, that was my observation of wanting things like that but couldn't afford things like that. So then fast forward, when I actually had a job, I got a job at Foot Locker in management. So, well, actually an athletic store called Athletic Addicts in management. So I was able to actually be in the element of the fashion that I liked. I was able to be in the element of authentic jerseys, you know, Air Force Ones, fitted caps, and things like that. So throughout that journey of management, which was about 20 or so, no, let's say about 10 to 15 years, I was able to get have a job first of all, get discounted prices on Air Force Ones, which used to come out like 3 or 4 times a month, you know, get the authentic jerseys before anybody could get them, and get the fitted caps to match. But then it got to a point where the internet came around and everybody could get everything. You couldn't get too much stuff exclusive. So we would take trips from New Orleans to Atlanta to get things. We would take trips from New Orleans to New York to get things. But like I said, everything kind of came full circle when the internet was kind of, I guess, flat in the playing field where everybody could get everything. So then I wanted to get stuff that only I could get. So me and my homeboys, we started making our own t-shirts where we just heat press. Well, back in the day, it was a thing when an entertainer died, such as like an ODB or a Big Pun, you know, everybody would have a shirt of that particular entertainer. So we did that. We was making those shirts, and we was not really selling them, just really busting them for ourselves and having different exclusive t-shirts that we would have that nobody else would have. And then when Hurricane Katrina happened, I moved up to Atlanta, still working for Foot Locker. So I was able to get the blanks from Foot Locker and go to people who had heat press, who had screen prints, who had embroidery, and basically curate a line. So that line back then was called Marksman Garments. But of course, there was no real social media, and there was no way to get to your audience or like-minded people, or no way to influence people to wear what you were selling unless you were able to get it to a rapper. And it was harder to get to rappers back then, or anybody with any influence. So fast forward to about 2017 or 2018, my homeboy Pike, he sent a logo of the Kemet Rules, and that was basically the start of Afrletics. we went back and forth and was like, hey, we can celebrate the Moors, we can celebrate Garvey, we can celebrate the Dogon tribe. So we basically went back and forth, created the logos, started the line out with like hats and t-shirts, and then we progressed to jackets and jerseys, and now, anything you want to see in athletics, we pretty much have the capacity to make happen. So during that same time, the YouTube era was really blowing up, and we would observe people on YouTube like Red and Blue, Sarnetta, Brother Rich, Umar Johnson. All those people were out there on the internet. And then we were actually able to meet those people physically in person and get their opinion on our line. And most of the people were blown away. Most of the people were like, that's a dope idea. So it encouraged me to keep going and keep being inspired. To this day, athletics has opened a lot of doors for me. But I also observed that everybody's not really in tune to wearing sportswear or the multiple colors that we offer in athletics. So that's why I started a simpler line where people can gravitate to a little bit easier, which is the Brownery Studios / Star Status, where it's just like positive sayings such as a rich energy on your t-shirt, a rich energy on your hat, a rich energy socks, just black and white, not too many colors. And then I started a third line because I wanted to look a little different in my particular look, where yes, I can wear sportswear, but I can wear a button-down shirt and some slacks as well. So that's the third line, which is Tribal Marx. But I still wanted to represent indigenous and African and different things that were still cultural in nature, but upscale as far as look. So those are the three brands that I represent and kind of my inspiration on starting those brands and continuing to this day. The reason why I want to do clothes and continue to do clothes and do it in a particular vein that I'm doing it, because a lot of people don't know our history. So it's a lot of explaining that I do have to do with most people when they come across our brand. So that leads me to want to keep it going and keep the inspiration and make it as big as possible, so everybody on the planet can understand that we was original man, we're global citizens, and the rich history of African people throughout the diaspora. Also, when we observed the Kaepernick situation, we observed the Kyrie situation, we observed the Kanye West situation, where the big brands would simply just get a blackface, pay him a check, and want him to obey the rules. So we said, why are we going to them to obey their rules when they're coming to us to get our cool, to get our influence, to get our swag, to get our light? So us as black people need to take that back, because none of those European brands, the Gucci's, the Louis, the Balenciagas, would be popular, or people would be spending the money that they spend on those brands if it wasn't for the black people that wear them and promote them for free, or that paid, or that don't even get paid. They go in the Louis store, blow $30,000, and a $30,000 blow at a small business, black business, might be their year, might make their year. And you're going to spend $30,000 in Louis Vuitton, and you go to the club and somebody has your exact same shirt that you paid $1,200 for. I don't understand that particular philosophy and mind state. So one of the goals is to change that within black people, where we don't need to go or feel like we have to go to the luxury brands to look good, where we can go to a black designer who has something dope, and it'll be exclusive because everybody can't find it, or everybody is not privy to that particular designer, or it's not sitting up in a store somewhere in 80,000 locations. So I think we should use our cool to bring up our brands. It should be the flex. The flex shouldn't be that I'm Louis Vuitton head to toe. The flex shouldn't be, oh, I got Balenci's on. The flex should be, oh, this is a black designer, this is a black t-shirt, this is a black watch company, I got on black underwear, I got black socks. So that should be the flex, that you're black from head to toe, as much as possible. Now we understand that, yeah, there's some things you're gonna have to get, or you might get from Nike or Adidas, but my goal daily is to wear one thing that's made by a black person. Of course, I'm making myself, so it's usually head to toe most days, but that should be the goal of everybody, because it circulates the dollar and it also promotes that brand, because essentially what you have on, you're a walking billboard for that brand. So why not be a walking billboard for somebody that looks like you, so it can circulate back to you? So being in the vendorverse is very beneficial. It allows you to tell the story of your brand. So if people look you up on the vendorverse, they can see what you're really about if they never met you. So I'm very excited, and I feel privileged to be part of the vendorverse, and has allowed people to see the story behind my brand It also gives me key points to go to different markets. It also is a great way to find different vendors, different niche vendors, different venues that I might want to use, or to reference to other people. Yes, check me out, Afrletics.com. Check me out on Instagram, AFR_LETICS. Come to the physical location, which is Sanctuary 568 Pool, Poole Place, Southwest Atlanta in the Western neighborhood. Also, if you want to get something customized, if you want to start your brand, you can check my Instagram at Brownery Studios. And if you're interested in any of my other brands outside of athletics, you can go to the website brownery.net. Peace.